It happened in seconds, but the moment stopped time on live TV. 1 second, Piers Morgan leaned back in his chair with that familiar smirk, thinking he had the upper hand. The next, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett reached into her briefcase, calmly, pulled out a legal document and placed it on the table between them. The room went dead silent. No one moved, no one breathed. And then she said it, "You've just been served." What was supposed to be just another heated interview became something no one saw coming. $20 million lawsuit dropped live on air. This is how a quiet setup turned into public justice. This is how one woman used the law to flip the script. Piers Morgan had built a career on confrontation. He wasn't just a TV host, he was a performer. He thrived on chaos, on poking his guests until they snapped, and when they did, he smiled. He made a name for himself by turning arguments into headlines. His show wasn't about facts, it was about fire. And for months, one name kept showing up in his crosshairs: Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine wasn't like his usual guests. She didn't shout, didn't get flustered, and didn't try to match his sarcasm. She was calm, always, a former civil rights attorney who turned her courtroom confidence into political power. Jasmine Crockett had become a rising voice in Congress, sharp, smart, and unshaken. That made her dangerous to someone like Piers. Because no matter how loud he got, she didn't move. That only made him attack harder. On his show, he mocked her speeches. He played clips out of context. He laughed at her name, again and again. He brought her up not to debate policy, but to question her character. One night, he ran a segment called The Jasmine Crockett Problem and claimed she had faked her law degree, was under ethics investigation, and had shady financial ties. None of it was true, but he said it anyway. Not once, not twice. He kept going, and his audience believed him. His show pumped out flashy graphics. Headlines screamed across the screen: "Crockett under fire." Viral clips filled TikTok and YouTube videos cut to make her look confused, angry, or lost. He called her a fraud. He said she wasn't qualified, that she was just another politician pretending to care. His fans repeated his words online like they were facts. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Jasmine's staff watched everything, screenshot everything, and saved every clip. But she didn't respond. Not right away. No press conferences. No Twitter threads. No interviews. She waited. While Morgan used his platform to spread doubt, Jasmine quietly gathered proof. Her legal team started building a case. Every false statement, every broadcast, every lie told like it was the truth. And then her office took one more step. They sent Morgan's team a full file: her law degree, her bar admission, her clean ethics record, her financial disclosures, everything. Every lie he had told was now officially proven false. But Morgan didn't stop. He never mentioned the documents. He never corrected the record. Instead, he invited her back to his show. To him, it was just another chance to embarrass a politician on live TV, another episode to stir controversy and boost views. His producers were ready with clips, folders, sound bites. They expected fireworks. Crockett didn't say much beforehand. She just confirmed the interview, picked a date, and made one request: that the interview be live. The day of the interview, Morgan's team was buzzing. They thought she'd come ready to defend herself, maybe throw a few lines back at him. They were wrong. Jasmine Crockett walked into the studio, dressed in sharp blue, holding a plain black briefcase. She smiled politely, said little, sat down, and clipped on her mic. She looked relaxed, almost too relaxed. Morgan greeted her the way he greeted everyone with control. He opened with a grin, a loaded question, and a smirk that said, "I've already won." The show began, the cameras rolled, and the audience. At home, leaned in, expecting a heated debate. They got something else. What no one in that studio knew, not the cameraman, not the producers, not even Piers himself, was that Jasmine hadn't come for a debate. She'd come with a plan. A detailed, legal, and carefully prepared plan. What looked like just another episode of Piers Morgan Uncensored was actually the final act in a months-long legal trap, and Morgan. He was walking straight into it. By the time he realized what was happening, it was too late. The interview started the way they always did, with Piers Morgan in control. He leaned forward in his chair, hands folded, voice sharp, tone smug. His first question wasn't really a question, it was a jab dressed as one. Congresswoman Crockett. Some say your recent performances in Congress have been more about building your image than doing real work. Care to explain? Jasmine didn't blink. She didn't shift in her seat or get defensive. She just smiled, calm as ever, and said, "Piers, holding powerful people accountable is the work." Her voice was steady. Her eyes didn't move from his. Morgan smirked, thinking he'd hit a nerve. He kept going. "But surely some of your actions raise questions. Your confrontation with Justice Arlo, your finances, your credentials." His tone got sharper, more aggressive. The audience could feel the tension start to rise. Then something strange happened. Jasmine didn't just defend herself, she pushed back, gently, almost like she was asking him the questions. "Piers, you mentioned my credentials. Can I ask what are yours, exactly, when it comes to law?" Morgan shifted. "I'm a journalist. I ask the questions. And I'm a licensed attorney," she said, "who's practiced civil rights law for over a decade. Just wanted the viewers to know who's qualified to talk about legal matters." "Oh, that's..." When the tone changed, Morgan doubled down. He pulled out a folder and said, "Let's talk facts then. Reports have questioned your law degree, suggested you're under ethics investigation, and uncovered possible financial conflicts." Crockett didn't flinch. She leaned forward, her voice now sharper, colder, like someone used to cross-examinate. "Piers, are you stating on live television, as fact, that I faked my law degree?" Morgan paused for the first time. "I'm simply raising concerns." "No," she cut in, "you made specific claims. And I'm asking you to confirm them, because what you just said is legally actionable." The room went quiet. She reached into her briefcase, slowly, calmly, like she'd done it 100 times. She pulled out a thick folder and placed it on the table between them. "3 weeks ago," she said, "your producers contacted my office. My staff gave them proof copies of my law degree, my bar certificate, statements clearing me of any investigations. They knew the truth. You knew the truth." Morgan tried to wave it off. "I have sources. This is journalism." Jasmine opened the folder. "This isn't journalism," she said. "This is fiction dressed as fact. And you're about to find out what that costs." She pulled out a document stamped with an official court seal and slid it toward him. "You've just been served on live television." You could hear the air leave the room. No one said a word. The camera zoomed in on Morgan's face as his smirk disappeared. His mouth opened, then closed. He looked like he'd been punched in the chest. "This is a defamation lawsuit filed in the United States District Court," she said. "You're being sued for $20 million, Morgan stammered. "You can't just sue someone for doing their job." "You didn't do your job," she replied. "You told lies. Hey, you told them knowing they were lies." She turned page after page in the folder. Timelines, copies of emails, messages between her team and his producers, all proving that the claims he made were false and that he knew it. "Defamation per se," she said. "That means the lies. You told go beyond opinion. You accused me of crimes, of dishonesty, of fraud. On national television, that's not protected speech. Morgan tried to recover. I didn't write the segments myself. Doesn't matter. You spoke them, you aired them, and you ignored the truth when it was given to you. She laid out every detail. October 12th, her office sent proof of her law degree. October 20th, her team confirmed no ethics investigation existed. November 1st, they sent full financial disclosures. You received all of this, and still you repeated false claims. You acted with what we call reckless disregard for the truth. And now, you're responsible for the damage. Morgan's hands were shaking. He tried to reach for another folder to argue, but nothing he said landed. The audience knew what they were watching. This wasn't a debate anymore. This was a reckoning. You called me unqualified, Crockett said. You called me dishonest. And millions of people believed you. I've received threats, harassment, even had to hire extra security for lies you told. That's not free speech. That's defamation. The silence stretched. Morgan finally whispered. We can discuss this off camera. No Piers, she said. You did this on camera. So now we deal with it right here. And that's when the legal trap shut completely. The clip of Jasmine Crockett serving Piers Morgan live on air exploded across the internet. Within hours, it had millions of views. By the end of the day, it was everywhere: news channels, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter. You couldn't scroll without seeing Morgan's face frozen in shock as the words "you've just been served" echoed in the background. For a man who built his image on control, that moment was a total loss of it. The backlash was fast. Sponsors started pulling ads from Talk TV. Viewers who once cheered Morgan turned silent or worse, angry. Social media following dropped by over 500,000 in just 3 days. And the headlines that used to work in his favor now turned against him. Morgan gets served when a host becomes the headline and journalism or just lies. Meanwhile, Crockett's.com measured stand became a symbol of something bigger. Her office was flooded with thousands of messages, people thanking her for not backing down. Law students studied her case. Professors from places like Harvard called it a masterclass in how to fight back against media defamation. For once, the system worked, 10 people noticed. Behind the scenes, things got worse for the network. TALK TV was named in the lawsuit too, and suddenly, it wasn't just about one anchor, it was about a culture. Internal emails leaked showing producers had received the truth weeks before the interview. They ran the lies anyway because it made good TV. That sentence alone turned into a legal nightmare. Executives scrambled. Lawyers moved fast. They tried to keep it quiet, but eventually the network issued a public apology. They reached a settlement, an undisclosed amount. It was clear it wasn't small. Morgan was quietly let go. No farewell episode. No final statement. Just gone. Crockett, on the other hand, walked away stronger than ever. Not louder, but respected. What she did wasn't just a legal win. It was a message. This wasn't about politics. It wasn't about left or right. It was about truth. Because in a world where lies move fast and fake outrage gets clicks, standing calmly in the middle of the storm with facts in your hand still matters. And for those who use lies to tear others down, there's a cost. Sometimes that cost comes with a court seal.